But what do you think Nigerians should be looking out for?
The first issue should be the restoration of Nigeria's democracy. What we have presently, let's leave the economy, let's leave security and the rest. You need to first of all get this democracy back. You need to be sure that you're practicing the democracy where people are not being hounded because they speak against the government or because they disagree with the government. We need to first of all restore democracy before we can get infrastructure and the rest, water, what have you. Let's even have a democracy where citizens feel like citizens, not like people who have been beaten. So the issues that would define these coming elections are, number one, which of the candidates has a democratic credentials, who listens, who is able to relate, because what we have is, in the last 3.5 years, we had an executive that didn't have one-day peace with the legislature, an executive that felt it could intimidate and harass the judiciary, an executive that felt if you gather at the Unity Fountain or as a citizen, if you think you say anything against them, you could be locked up, you could be arrested. No, we want to have all the candidates. We're going to ask who has the capacity to interface seamlessly with all the organs of government, with all the arms of government, who is not going to come and tell us that, oh, because this person is not in my camp, we're going to lock you up or harass you or what. See, let's first of all have democracy. Let's restore Nigeria's democracy from what we had in the last 3.5 years. So going forward into the elections, people want to know, we are being adjudged as the world capital for extreme poverty. I hear people saying world capital for poverty. No, extreme poverty means in every 6 minutes a Nigerian is going into poverty. We need to halt that trend immediately. Who has the capacity of all the candidates who are coming up, who are speaking to us, who are engaging the people, who has the capacity to halt that?
Indeed, talking about candidates, if you just let me to come in here so we can have a back and forth conversation. Talking about candidates, their credentials were made available to journalists by INEC. President Buhari did not attach necessary supporting documents, we understand, insisting that they were in the custody of the military. His strongest rival, Atiku, submitted all relevant documents with a diploma in law from 1969 from the Ahmadu Bello University, being his highest qualification, and also attached tax returns, including a 10.8 million naira claim, he says, were his tax forms from 2015 to 2017, while declaring his income set at 60.2 million naira within that period. Will it be right to say that more is expected from them and indeed other candidates as we head towards 2019?
I think the issue of non-provision of certificate, non-submission of certificate by President Buhari is something that we Nigerians shouldn't take this time around. I think it's a slap on 190 million Nigerians. I think it's a slap on the system that requires even a driver, even a security man to submit his
even though he said that it is with the military authorities, wouldn't you be too early to conclude as such?
No, please. I have a letter here that I wrote to the military in 2015. It was a request for information, and it was on this same issue. We wrote to INEC, I wrote to the Chief of Defense Staff, I wrote to the Chief of Naval Staff, I wrote to the military hierarchy, requesting that, okay, if President Buhari says his certificate, I mean, it is unheard of. A man who's been running for office since 2003 cannot just drive to Area 10. I was at the military of head office today to actually make inquiries about this. What does it cost the president? I think the president does not respect qualifications, because even if you didn't have it, I mean, what does it take to sit for one? You could have sat for this last
because
May, June,
we have to be
exam.
we have to be extremely careful on our choice of words, because Mr. President has indeed said that there is a place where you can get it, and it lies with the military authorities where they can go get those information that is needed. But INEC has asked Nigerians to initiate legal actions against any presidential candidate with false claims in certificates submitted to the body. It is also previewed to people who do this to give this information to INEC. What are your thoughts immediately with that, with respect to that?
Okay, I think it's important that I put certain information in public. In 2015, when information came out that President Buhari didn't submit his, I'm not saying he doesn't have, but he didn't submit his certificate. And then he said that his certificates were with the Secretary Military Board. First and foremost, as of today, there is nothing called Secretary Military Board in our security structure. There's nothing like that, so he might need to clear that. Then secondly, we sent people to WAEC office in Ghana and to get us information, to make inquiries. They do not have any idea who if he sat or not. There's nothing indicating that he went. I was actively involved in these certificate issues. In fact, we were to take him to court until there were people that said, okay, it will be seen as political or not. But this time around, I'm happy. There's a group that is going to court on Monday. The Leadership and Accountability Initiative, which I heard will also be taking him to court. It's not because he belongs to the APC. It is because we need to grow a society where rules are rules, laws are laws.
I must thank you, Mr. Shield. Unwaz Rahul, I must indeed thank you so much indeed for sharing your thoughts with us here on State of the Nation. But when we return, we'll still keep our focus on the 2019 presidential race. And we'll be taking a look at the preparedness of INEC and indeed the security situation. Join us again.